Welcome to our FYI show, a public service feature here on KROS. Clinton School Superintendent Gary DeLacy with us this morning. And welcome, Gary, to talk about what we're going to talk about. Is it fair to say the first day of school, everybody back? We talked a bit about, the governor mandated this, everybody in class basically every day. I guess you got things reorganized Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's it like today? Do you know?
Well, no, I actually started the day at Whittier because fourth and fifth graders that were at the middle school were now at the elementary. I think there's some genuine excitement, and I asked Mrs. Shepard's class if they were excited to be back at Whittier, and every hand went up. And I do think they had an excellent experience at the middle school, and but I think there's some excitement. I think there's a little apprehension too, because we really had maximized social distancing with that current model, and we're obviously giving up some of that now. We're going, where you could have walked through the district last week, and really the average class size would have been 12 to 15. You're going to walk through today, particularly at the middle school and high school, and you're going to see classes more in the 25, 28. So class sizes are going to be a little bit bigger, particularly at the middle school and high school.
Yeah, Dunn, is that going to, class size, were you able to at least, you talked earlier about trying to use some different rooms, more rooms in each of the buildings, at least try to keep the sizes a little smaller. Were you able to do that, especially at the elementary
level? At the elementary level, we did. We had subdivided, and so we are using additional rooms. And one of the things we didn't want to do, particularly with elementary, is they've been with the teacher now for 110 days. And to take, let's say we created a fourth section. We didn't want to take that fourth section and say, you 5 kids go to this class, you 5 go to this class, you 5 go, and they all have different teachers, different kids. And I think that's particularly hard at the elementary level. So we have with the SR2 funding, we have the funding to continue it. So now it was just the logistics of space. So I do know at Whittier, we're using every little space possible to do that, but I think we've got it worked out. So we're maxed out in terms of space in a lot of situations, but the elementary class sizes are still lower.
Going forward, I know each month we talk about this, whether you get back. Now that you're back, mandated or not, what does the rest of the year look like? Do you think you can do some of the things that people talk about missing last year, graduation, prom, and moving on for the elementary type activities, elementary graduation, or moving on, all those kind of things that happened that didn't happen last spring for students and staff? You think now you're in a position to try to look at those kinds of things, or is it still too early to tell?
Well, I think we're starting to look at doing some of those things, but first of all, I want to get my staff fully vaccinated before we really start to open some things up, like field trips and those things have been brought up. I am very hopeful that prom and graduation will happen. There may be, obviously, we're going to be following guidelines yet, so we probably will be doing some things with social distancing, face covering, sanitation routines within that to still do the best job that we can in those circumstances. That's all contingent if it stays. It's been getting more suppressed in the county. The positivity rate for the last 4 days, I think, has been right at 10%. That's been as low as it's been since, I believe, September. Are we in that position in May when a lot of these events happen? I would feel, I just don't want, I think we're planning and just hoping that the experience will still be suppressed or even lower so that we can go ahead. Obviously, if the county experiences what they did last November, that changes the narrative completely. When the positivity rate got up to 29.5%, I had 74 staff members either positive or quarantined. So if that would happen again, that would change the narrative completely. But I mean, at this point, it's pretty fluid. But we're actually talking and planning to say, can we do prom? We should be able to do graduation in some capacity. Should it be outside? Should it be inside? But we limit the numbers that can come. Those kinds of things and those kinds of discussions. Heck, when I was a principal at Comanche High School, I would have enjoyed social distancing at prom, but I'm not sure how social distancing would work for prom. So, but I think if we can, it's reasonable. We'll talk to Michelle Cullen yet as well to get advice on it and those kinds of things. So we're at least discussing and talking about it. And at the elementary level, the field days and those things, I think are going to be an option as long as we keep trending in the right direction.
And you mentioned vaccinations. You mentioned the school rate. You got started on the staff, and I know educators were in that tier where they could start to get those. You're starting to get that process underway with the staff.
Yeah, we've been working with Clinton County Public Health, Michelle Cullen, and then we found a provider with Osco Jewel. So a week ago yesterday, we had our first 200 employees vaccinated. And I prioritized it, or the district, in terms of we really pretty much worked oldest backwards, just saying that these are the most at-risk people when you look at the data of COVID and work backwards. And then yesterday we did another 150. So we've got 350 employees so far that have gotten their first round of vaccinations. Our last round will be next Wednesday. We're scheduled to have up to 150 more. We have about 120 right now that are signed up for this last grouping. Then we'll have to, we're getting the Moderna vaccine. So then corresponding 4 weeks out in March, we would be getting the second doses. So by March 24th, we should have, if everybody that's committed to get vaccinated, we should have about 75% of our staff fully vaccinated.
And this was an option. This was a choice of the staff. You gave them the option.
Yep, we strongly encouraged they get it, but it was not a requirement. And I'll be honest, I've never seen so many people excited to come in and get a shot. People are actually, you can see the smile through their mask, like they've been waiting for this moment, and that's what a lot of them yesterday, I kind of greeted them at the door and they said, we've been waiting for this moment. So it's been a good thing. There's been a lot of excitement, and I just think to protect the staff's health and being able to get them vaccinated, it's going to be that's really the next important step to normalcy.
Do you think the staff will feel a little better? I know in teaching, you think this will be I guess I'd say relaxing, but at least some assurance among your staff to come to work every day?
I think absolutely, and especially given the data on the Moderna effects seen of 95% effectiveness. I mean, that's really high. So I think it does give some of that insurance that we're trying to do our best for that, because obviously our workspaces, you don't normally have 30 people in one room in a normal workspace. Well, that's what you're going to probably see at our middle school and high school today. So getting that extra level of protection, I think, is important.
On to other subject quickly, the bond issue vote coming up in just a few weeks for the CTE Center. Multi-County, of course, the Eastern Iowa Community College got a grant to help with the DeWitt Center, which maybe helps the overall bond issue, but still a vote has to happen to get this thing. Where is this at? Talk a little bit about that center and what's going on.
Well, I think the big thing, Eastern Iowa Community College right now has been meeting with groups and putting out information about the bond issue. It is on March 2nd, so it's less than 2 weeks away now. Some of the things for the Clinton Center, it gives us 9 pathways that kids can get Concord credit on. So when you talk about advanced manufacturing, welding, culinary, agriculture, there's a couple different strands in the health care area. So there's opportunities there for kids that very good paying jobs that may not need a 4-year degree. If they use their junior, senior year, they can probably get half of it or more done. Then if they just extend a year or two into college, they can finish it right up with the Clinton Community College and be credentialed and go out in the workforce and have a very good paying job. So if you go to other parts of the state, it already exists. If you go out to Cedar Rapids, you see these great tech centers that Kirkwood has built. Same thing in Des Moines area with DMAC. Why can't our kids get those same opportunities? I think the other thing I would advocate for people to vote yes is Eastern Iowa Community College actually has a bond that's dropping off at the same time as this one would go into effect. So people will see no effect on what they're currently paying for taxes by doing this. And it's an opportunity to build, it looks like about an $8.5 million facility right on the Clinton Community College campus for the Clinton High School students 2 blocks away. And some of these things that, we already offer a state-of-the-art culinary. We do home trades construction, which will be part of it as well. But we don't offer ag. So this is going to be an opportunity for a Clinton High student that would be interested in the ag field to pursue that as a path. If you're a student at Northeast, Comanche, Easton Valley, which those schools have kind of committed to come to the Clinton campus, they have those are opportunities that are really lacking. So I think overall this is going to be very good for Clinton County. It's going to be a great investment in the community, and quite frankly, I think it just puts our juniors and seniors on a more even playing field with the other juniors and seniors in the state that have this access.
And two, you mentioned building the high school plans. I know bids will be opening up soon for that. Where's that process underway to get that project started?
Well, design is about done. The board will get a report next Monday night, and we are getting close to bid documents. And I would expect by the end of the month, those will be out. And then I think we're talking a 3 to 4 week period to allow general contractors to review those and put in proposals. And then we're targeting late March for a bid opening, and that'll be a big day for us. Will those bids come in pretty close to the targeted amounts? With the pandemic, things are a little bit in flux. Will it actually help us and contractors are hungry for work and they'll sharpen their pencils? Or is the cost of supplies, which I'm hearing quite a bit about, is higher because of the pandemic? And is that going to push that price tag higher than we would like to see? So that'll be a big day, really a little over a month from now on bid opening, with the idea probably by about the end of April, we would have a groundbreaking on the east side of the campus for that 3-story academic building.
Getting anxious to get this started or see how it's going to progress?
Well, I mean, we've already started with that north parking lot, so I think somebody have seen that. We are targeting on the improvements for your gym to be done this summer because a lot of the public gets into that gym. So hopefully the climate control, the mezzanine bleachers, new windows, new fixtures in the restrooms, and really giving Yord a facelift. People will come in this fall already and say, okay, I'm parking in a new parking lot. Coming in, I see some major enhancements to the gym. If I go to the east side, I'm seeing some definite heavy construction going on. And yeah, I mean, to me, it's going to go pretty fast. I'm thinking a year from December, so we're talking about 21, 22 months from now, we'll be moving into that new three-story academic building, which will be about 70% of our academic day will be in that building, and we'll already be in a new building. So, and I'm excited for what the public's going to see. I've really pushed for this design to simulate the workplace, maybe have some elements of a community college. I don't want an industrial feeling like you'd get out of a lot of schools. So I think we've really worked hard with FRK in their designs to give that kind of feel that when people walk in, that they'll say, I wish I went to school here. I can't believe this is a school. It doesn't feel like a school.
Talk to, before we get done, state funding, and that's always a topic for school districts. I just saw that both the House and the Senate have passed the 2.4% state aid, and that's what people associate with schools. I know there's been a lot of talk about different things they're going to fund or not fund beyond that, but it's 2.4%. School districts wanted more. What does 2.4% mean for the Clinton school district? What impact does that have?
Well, unfortunately, 2.4 doesn't mean 2.4 for us. Not that based on our enrollment this year, we actually went up 28.5 students. But the fact that we were on the budget guarantee last year. So when you're on the budget guarantee, you actually get that 101% of the current last year's budget. So you're getting more money than you probably should be getting because you lost kids. That's how you end up on the budget guarantee. Well, the problem is that then this year you don't start from where you got the budget guarantee amount. You go back to where the budget guarantee began. So 2.4% ends up being 1.48% increase in new money for Clinton schools, which is about $385,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but if you divided that evenly among all our employees, that's about a $700 raise per year for every employee. So that makes negotiations difficult again. I feel that for us to be able to attract and retain employees, we have to do better than that. I do think that the legislators missed an opportunity this year to do better. And what I mean by that is that there were 6,000 students that weren't enrolled in the state due to the pandemic, mostly 4-year-olds and kindergartners. 4 and 5-year-olds legally do not have to be in school yet. It's age 6. So having 6,000 less students was a $42 million savings to the state. They basically use that savings to fund most of what they're giving schools. Because I think what you see is most of the proposals are running around 50 million. I saw one number at 61 million, but they would have to add all the extras in to get to those numbers. Well, 42 million of it was basically because we had 6,000 kids not enrolled this year due to the pandemic. And I think almost everybody would agree they're coming next fall. So I felt that they could have done better. It's certainly it continues the challenge of the last 13 years, we've had an average SSA under 2%. So and I'll be honest, I moved pretty much everything that we get in new revenue to wages and salaries just to try to continue to be competitive. And a lot of that competition, Dave, deals with the private sector. When you're talking bus drivers, when you're talking paraeducators, when you're talking secretaries, when you're talking custodians, those people have the skill set that goes directly against the private sector. So, that's one of our challenges is how do we continue to compete against the private sector to have high quality employees in the district?
Does that get harder and harder?
Oh, it's been harder and harder because it's been a 13-year trend line. So, if it was a couple years, you could bridge the gap, but now we're getting to a point, there's no bridging. I mean, you give what you can give for raises. You're just hoping that people really enjoy the environment of working in the school system. And it's not all about wage and, salary and benefits. That there's some other benefits of working in our district because we're not going to be able to compete in some areas on wage and benefit.
Moving forward, what else is going on in the district? We got a few minutes left.
Well, we are, and I was going to talk about this next month, but I'll just lay it out.
Give us a hint.
We are looking at trying to get the Hall of Honor ceremony, which was postponed last April. probably in a little different version, but we're going to try to target April 16th. I've reached out. We have an outstanding class of 8 members that have been on hold to get inducted. So I've been reaching out and trying to get, see if we can get those inductees to come in on April 16th. We're still, again, related, where are we in the pandemic at that point, to say how opened up will that be to the community, or will that be mostly just for family members and some things like that? And maybe we'll just do some streaming so people can do that. But we've got some outstanding candidates. I'm actually a little, I'm hoping Andy Grodelishian can come. He emailed me a couple days ago, and it sounds like he's been currently working in Broadway, but of course with the pandemic, he's making it sound like it's a chance he could come back, and I think that would be great for us if he could come back. We've got family members of Charles Toney and of Lulu Johnson, and 2 Clinton High graduates that really made their marks in civil rights and beating the odds. Lulu was the first African American woman to get a PhD in the state of Iowa, and the second in the nation. And she was a Clinton High graduate. Charles Toney ended up being what I would call the Martin Luther King before Martin Luther King. He was very involved in affirmative action, civil rights in the Quad Cities, did a lot of work for John Deere that was ahead of its time. Just amazing in what he did. And then, I've got Wes Golden, who actually works in my office, who gave, I believe, 28 to 29 years of service to the country, and including stints, I believe, in Afghanistan and that. Jeanette Peterson was nominated just for service to the community. And her list of all the different organizations and things that she's put time into the community over the years, just amazing. I'm missing a few here. Joan Beck. Joan Beck's another one. She was the first woman that was on the editorial board for the Chicago Tribune, another Clinton High graduate. And Roberta Fellon, a Clinton High graduate who actually made most of her mark out in San Francisco and was a major player in healthcare and the development of that, and all our contributions there. So I think I've almost got them all there, Dave. But
we'll make sure we do it in September, or September and April. Or March. We'll talk a little more, because then you might know more about if there's going to be a ceremony, or how that's going to work. So we'll give some details on that. But we feel like we should be at a point that we want to honor these people. Make sure people know about it. Well, thanks, Gary. Gary DeLacy, Clinton School Superintendent. Of course, you were off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We weren't faced with some of that cold weather decision, so maybe we'll get a little nicer weather here for the rest of the spring. Well, I heard it's going to be 21 today, so that's going to feel like a heat wave. Thanks for coming in today, Gary. Appreciate the time. Thank you. Thanks.
You're listening to AM 30.